up, everyone? I would say he's a guest, but I think we might have some competition today. Longbox is back
Oh yeah,
from the OG crew. And
yeah. I heard y'all.
does he need
y'all
an
to get y'all
introduction
stuff
here?
together,
Let's
so
hear
I
it.
came here
Does he need one?
to remind him.
Oh, did we
all
lose him?
right?
Did we lose him?
The OG
Is he
host.
here?
The OGs.
OG, yeah, he's gonna take Year spot if we can't see him. Okay, there he is. Okay, there he is.
You can see me
I don't
now.
bring my A game. Longbox is gonna come back and take my spot, reclaim
That's
it
right.
basically.
That's right. That's right. Oh
But
man, it's good to be back, guys. To be honest.
we're
Being on
glad
the
to
old-
have you, man.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
old Stomping grounds.
yeah. I was excited. So we did one episode, right, and we recorded the second one with a guest. It's gonna come out soon with Captain Cody, right? And this the day before we was gonna record with Captain Cody, and Longbox hit me up, say, "Hey, I watched the show. I'm excited for you guys. I'd like to come and be a guest in the show." And I was like, "Bro, we are looking for guests. Not gonna get you in episode 2 because it's gonna be recorded the next day. It's already scheduled, but you're gonna be on the next one for sure." And then we figured out what we was gonna talk about, and we ended up picking the book and the show Alias and Jessica Jones. At least season 1 for this show, man. And I'm excited. I got Longbox to read it. I got Rones to read it. They got me to watch the show. I had never seen it before. I literally just finished the last episode of season 1, like 2 minutes before we started recording. Man,
Oh man.
Don't feel
Just
so
freaking-
pressured because I didn't finish it, but I got the important parts in. Hopefully, so.
but you read a good amount of the book, and you did watch the show, so it's not like you're not gonna know what we're talking about.
Oh yeah, okay.
Facts,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure we're gonna go in the weeds, so we might spoil some stuff for you.
Hey, it's okay, man. I want to read it either way because I was really getting into it. I guess we can start, right?
All right, so really quick, let's give you the details here. Alias was a Marvel comic from the Max line. It came out in, let me see. First issue came out in 2001, September 2001. The writer was Brian Michael Bendis. This is practically the beginning of Bendis's peak as a writer, right?
I think
we all know he
it
had.
was Ultimate Spider-Man, and then it was Daredevil, and then it was this.
No.
Go look it up. Go look it up.
So
Look it up,
he did Powers, right? The indie comic, and then they brought it into Marvel to do be on the part of the Max initiative, right? Like more adult driven comics. And after he did Alias, then he started doing other stuff. Like Alias was the first comic he wrote for Marvel.
I think it was Daredevil before this. I want to say because I remember back in the day it was this was like his second or
in the 90s, right?
Yeah. It was like this was like his second or third because he started with Marvel in the 90s, in the late 90s. Back when Joe Quesada was the first one. He wanted Brian Michael
Marvel
Bendis.
Knights, right?
Yeah, that's how they started Marvel Knights, and then it became not Punisher Max, Marvel Max, and then I guess they felt comfortable with him taking the reins for Ultimate Spider-Man and the Avengers after this, with the success of Daredevil. Nobody wanted to touch Daredevil because Frank Miller left such a big mark on it, from what I remember.
Okay, I'm looking it up right now. Daredevil, Daredevil Ninja. He was part of that. That started in 2000. There was a Spider-Man comic called To Trap a Spider. It came out in 2000. Ultimate Spider-Man came out in 2000 as well, and then Alias in 2001.
Okay.
He was on fire. Like 2000 and 2001, he did Elektra. He did Ultimate Spider-Man. He did Alias. He did a bunch of stuff at the same time. That's crazy.
And I want to add too to the younger viewers that like to I see a lot of hate for Brian Michael Bendis. Back then, dude, Brian Michael Bendis was the man.
Was the GOAT.
Dude, back then, it was so hard to read comics because every other comic, it wasn't like now where you could actually read a comic and it's actually good. Back then, it was there was only certain writers you knew that were going to be good. If not, it was going to be okay, or it just I wasn't gonna pick up the next issue. And with Brian Michael Bendis, every time I saw him, I don't know the character, but I'll read the story because Ultimate Spider-Man. What else was he on at the time when I was reading?
New Avengers,
Avengers.
New
Avengers. So
Avengers.
Yeah.
Avengers got me. I was like, because back then it was all about X-Men, and me liking like Avengers. It was like
Mhm.
I feel like a little bit of a rebel because I was like, man, everybody likes X-Men, but I think people are not paying attention to what like the Avengers are doing over here, which I
Yeah.
think I don't know. Well, we're about to get into it, but I think this they kind of set up a lot of things here for the new Avengers.
In Alias, oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
especially well, everything regarding Jessica Jones, right, and Luke Cage, especially Luke Cage in the early 2000s, was based on Bendis because he was a writer, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, like you guys were saying, Bendis he was given the keys to the kingdom for Marvel, and pretty much his work was the foundation to even today's main continuity, right? And it all started with Avengers Disassemble, right? They told him, "Hey, do the Avengers." Okay, but I want if you want to sell comics, I need the best selling characters in the Avengers. So who are your best selling characters? And they said, well,
Mhm.
Wolverine. Okay, he's gonna be in the Avengers, but he's a solo character right now, or he's with the X Men. I don't care. Who's the other one? Spider Man. No, but Spider Man is a solo character. He doesn't do teams. He's gonna do teams now because I'm gonna have him in the new Avengers, and I want Luke Cage. Why? Because I like Luke Cage, and I think he should be a leader in the Avengers. And literally, that's what happened. He got recruited by Captain America, and Luke Cage's words were like, "Okay, but if I join, it's gonna be on my terms, and we're gonna do things differently." And Steve Rogers was like, "All right, you in charge," and that was it, right? And that's when I like that because you can be biased, right, as a writer, as an artist,
Mhm.
right, as a creator, but if you bring the characters that you like into do whatever project that you have, right, like in this case, Bendis, he was dead their focus on doing something with Luke Cage. It's like, okay, if I'm gonna have a team book, I'm gonna bring Luke Cage in it because I like that character as when I read it as a child, and I'm gonna develop. I'm gonna give this character a lot of growth, and that's
Yeah.
what he did, right? He
Mhm.
had him be the leader of the Avengers. He had him get married to Jessica Jones, have a child, fight in the Civil War, right? Had some crazy moments there. Um, Fight the during the Secret Invasion, fight the scrolls, have doubts on him, his team, his wife, his kid. Like Luke Cage was all over the place. Like
I mean, it's basically like it's his book, you know. Like it became
Mm-hmm.
like his book, and I do want to add like Brian Michael Bendis. I think he wrote the first truly big like Avengers run, right?
Yeah.
You know, I feel like people may have read like Avengers before that, but that's when it really took off. Like Avengers really started selling at that point. Because let's be honest, like, and I know Rome's, you already kind of mentioned it. At Marvel, their big team was the X Men.
Yep.
It was always the X Men. So I think Brian.
especially in the early 2000s, right? Because like
Oh
the
yeah.
first movie came out,
Mhm.
and like X-Men were everywhere again.
Yep.
Yes, yes, and I think the only other thing like with the Avengers, like in the mainstream, was like that little cartoon from the '90s that only lasted
Yeah.
like one season, and it didn't even have like Captain America and Thor wasn't even in it. Like it had like the
Yeah.
lame characters, and and that didn't take off, right? So I think that's a testament to just Brian Michael Bendis writing at the time, and
Oh yeah.
I know now like there's a trope where the way how he writes dialogue, you know, we all know it's kind of like,
Right.
oh, I ordered a sandwich. What kind of sandwich? Well, it was a sandwich with ham. Oh, just ham? No, it had cheese on it too. It keeps going, right?
Yeah.
And
The other trope, and you like this image is gonna come to mind quickly. The two-page spread,
yes, yes,
constantly 2-page spread, right? Alias, right? The book that we're gonna go into it has a
Yeah.
lot of 2-page spreads, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I like that I what I saw on the show where when clients come to Jessica, right, and they want to hire her, she sits on her desk, right, in front of them, and she goes, start from the beginning, right? And then they go into it about, what's the problem, why they want to hire, and she just listens, right? And
Yes.
in the book, that happens with every single client. How? In a 2-page spread.
Page spread. Yes. 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 He loves the 2 page spreads. It almost gets to the point where you're like, dang, I'm really like getting through these issues pretty quickly because of the 2 page spreads, man. You're
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it happens a lot in the new Avengers run. Like a lot of those
Oh,
arcs have, you know, an issue or two issues here where, a lot of the exposition or a lot of the explanation is in a 2-page spread, right? It could be action, it could be exposition, it could be like key moments, but he gives to you 2 pages at a time.
Facts.
I, I think that's what makes him so unique and what makes him so like stand out for me personally because man, I mean I was reading this when I was a kid. The fact that I still remember all of this
Hmm.
to this day, like I'm I'm older, to guys, but what do you call the fact that I can remember all this and know that oh this is a Brian Michael Bendis comic, even
Hmm.
with the 2 day spread, like I see that so much nowadays, especially with like the more indie stuff with DC Black Label. I see a lot of those two space the spreads, and I see it like I guess other people clicked and they wanted to add it to their arsenal, like the way Brian Michael Bendis
It's a good
Yeah,
started
tool.
it.
It's a good tool
it
for
is.
storytelling if you know how to use it, right? Um,
Because oh sorry,
no, go ahead, go ahead.
because I think he started that. I haven't read the whole thing. I just read it a couple times. It was Powers. It was like his
Hmm.
own thing before this, and he does a lot of the same thing. It's just both of them are just like talking to each other, and it feels like a Quentin Tarantino movie because, like what Longbox said, it's like the dialogue is very natural. It's like
Hmm.
you don't even have to think about it. It's just like this is what two people are having a regular argument instead of like we got to do this. It's like it feels like what do you call it, a checkbox, and with Brian Michael Bendis, it feels like it's just natural. It's organic, like the way the
Exactly.
characters
Yeah.
speak, and
And a lot
from
of people have issues with it. Like they'd be like, "Oh, I don't like how Brian Michael Beno like write dialogue," but I'm like, dude, it's more natural. It's like how two people actually talk. You know?
I think it's a lack of patience because if you listen and read what they say to each other, you'll get a lot of what the characters, what do you call it, little ticks are, or the
Hmm.
characteristics come out through the dialogue. Like when, like you could tell whenever, I don't know how he does it, but I could tell whenever Jessica's having an attitude with someone, whenever she's
Yeah.
like talking and like those little spreads, I'm like, I know what she's doing, and it just feels natural, and not just that, but even the artist, who's the artist again?
Gatos. Oh
Giados.
no, I'm sorry,
Michael
Michael Gatos. How
Michael
you say that?
Gatos.
Gatos. Yeah,
Gatos.
Yeah,
bro.
that. Yeah,
So the one thing about the artist here, Gatos and the colorist Matt Hollingsworth, is that they didn't necessarily did a aesthetically pleasing art, but once you start reading and you get through the pages and you get through seeing the characters a couple times, like even if you don't think the art is appealing to you, it's very compelling. The way the story is told by the artist, right? The layouts, the faces, right? Especially like
Hmm.
Rome's was just saying. um like let's take that previous example. um Whenever she gets a client and they sit in front of her and they're telling her their story, the way it's reading, the way it's drawn, she's just sitting there smoking a cigarette, and you
Hmm.
can tell she is bored.
Out
She
of her
is
mind.
she
Yes.
like she like after you see it a couple times, you already know like the grinds are turning, right? She already know, okay, this is a cheating job. This is a girl gone runaway girl, or this is whatever. Like she's just sitting there, and then you can see in the word bubbles, like she's already sizing up the client, how much money that she's gonna get out of them, how much is gonna take her to complete the job because of the experience, right? Like she's been there so many times before. That's why she's not phased, right? And you can tell that in the lack of expression. Like kudos to the artist for that.
Facts.
Um, and then when they go into the flashbacks, right? And I know Rome's probably has not seen that, but when they go into the flashbacks, when Jessica was an active superhero going as
Oh
Jewel,
yeah,
right? In the art changes.
And it's
Mark
Um,
Bagley, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Bagley.
Yeah,
It
it's Mark Bagley.
it's the way it's depicted, at least to me, right? This is my interpretation of it. Like Bagley's art is more aesthetically pleasing. The colors are more vibrant. Like there's more detail into the characters, into the background. There's a lot of more, shiny skies and all that because but when she was Jewel, times were happier, were more optimistic, more hopeful,
Yeah,
right? So then you
yeah,
switch back to Gators and the ugly looking characters and all the dark colors, like it's a huge contrast, versus who she was versus who she became after what happened to her.
yeah. It
Uh,
gave me it gave me like a vibe of like uh Star Wars, which is crazy because I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt. But like you look at you look at like the prequels, right? The prequels they
Yeah.
were very they were more brighter, right? You had all
Hmm.
these crazy like the fashion in the prequels are just
Yeah.
amazing, right? And then you go to the original trilogy, and this is after Order 66 and the Empire is taking over, and things are more
Yeah.
muted. You see a lot more gray tones. You can feel
the times
the
are harder,
rest.
basically.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I love that with the artwork where it showed like when she was Jewel, it was it's almost like we're back in the 1960s of Marvel, right?
Hmm.
Things are bright and poppy, and but I just love that. I love that artistic choice that they made, and it gives off a very like noir feel
Yep.
with Gato's artwork,
Yes.
and, and again, like even with the 2 page spreads, it's very cinematic. Like I feel like I'm
Hmm.
reading like at least a TV show. Like I could see this going on like HBO late at night. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
let's
I
watch
mean, it did.
aliens.
It did. He literally made a show
Yeah.
based
Yeah.
on the
Yeah,
comic. So, and that's very typical of Bendis's writing style, right? Because um, the Ultimate Comics, right? The original Ultimate Comics,
Hmm.
Ultimate Spider-Man, all that. A lot of his work, right? His framing of panels, the widescreen panels, and all that ended up being scenes in the MCU.
Yep.
hmm
So, you know, that's part of his writing style, at least back then. If you guys want, we can start going into break it down by arcs, right? And talk about the different arcs of
yeah. Let's
the
get into it.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is a 28 issue run. It's been collected in trades. It's been collected in hardcovers. I'm sure. I
This is
think
omnibus.
that's the hardcover, the omnibus.
hmm
Hardcover, like the omnibus, just one time, and I picked it up for a friend that was looking for it. I collected it in single issues. It took me like almost 2 years to complete it because this is a 24, almost 25-year-old series. So it was
Jeez.
tough, but I got it. I got it in single issues. The first arc is called Alias Investigations, which is the name of her, private investigation business. And one thing to compare to the show, that first scene when she's like arguing with a
Oh
customer
yeah.
and she
Yeah.
throws him through the glass window, that is taken exactly
Great.
from like the first couple of pages from the first issue. Same thing. She's delivering the bad news to a client that um, the wife was cheating. His
hmm
suspicions were correct,
Or
and
true.
he didn't like it. He tried to turn that into uh, he
Backlash.
turned yeah he turned that against her, and she wasn't having it, so she threw him through the glass window. That I like that from the beginning of the show. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
this is gonna
Yeah.
be very similar to the comic, and I like that.
Oh
I
yeah,
am.
like the show did a really good job. You really get the vibe. They got the tone right.
Hmm.
Yes,
Even the intro with all the with all the watercolors and everything, it just
Mhm.
reminded me of the what do you cut the covers,
the
the
covers
covers of
by
Silver Sleeve.
David Mack.
Yeah. Oh, David Mack, man, he's just oh man, dude, his beautiful artwork. Yeah.
Yeah, so the first arc it involves, we being introduced to Jessica Jones, the private investigator. Right, she gets
Hmm.
hired by a couple of people, but one of them specifically is looking for like I think it was like a missing sister, right?
Mhm.
And when she
Yeah.
finds the missing sister, just like in the show, she's looking through trash, checking receipts, typical, private investigator stuff, like just finding clues from what people leave behind, in the open. And on the first night on the job, she finds the missing sister, and she's like shacked up with some guy, right? Some random guy. She's not sure. She's taking pictures of the moment, right? She's
Oh
inside a
man.
house. She's all cuddly with this guy, and then all of a sudden, the
It's
guy goes,
Captain America.
It's Steve Rogers,
I'm
baby.
sorry,
It's
bro.
Steve
I'm
Rogers.
sorry. You're killing me. You're killing me in
"Bro,
anticipation, dude.
it was Steve Rogers," and she finds out because for some reason he changes into the Captain America, the colors, and then he jumps off the roof, like
Yep.
like it's nobody's business, and she gets that on camera, and then she decides, long story short, she decides not to go public with that because and that's when we reveal that she had some relationship with the Avengers. Like there's a picture
Mhm.
of her like rubbing shoulder when the Avenger when she used to be a superhero, and when Captain America finds out, when Steve Rogers finds out that it was Jessica that got the pictures and she didn't reveal it, like she earned Rogers' trust and respect for not selling him out. And that just, that starts to gives you an idea of who Jessica is,
Yeah,
right?
man.
Like
Yeah,
the
it was good.
integrity, like the maybe not loyalty because it's not like she owns them loyalty, but she still feels some type of responsibility to keep his
Hmm.
life private, right?
Yeah,
Because
man.
it was not just his identity, but the private life of this lady that he was checking out with.
No, thanks.
Um, and there's other stuff there. In the first arc, we're introduced to Luke Cage, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
the 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 prime reason why this book was about Jessica Jones and not Jessica Drew that is presented in the comic with Luke Cage, right? It's not explicitly said, but it's a lure that Jessica
They
had.
got down. Like they got.
I was like, because I before reading this, I had already saw the first season of the TV show, right?
Same
Yeah,
here.
So in my mind, even though Jessica isn't drawn like the lady that plays Jessica Jones in the show, she doesn't really like look like Jessica,
no,
but I still imagine her in my head, right?
I
You
hear
know,
her
this
voice.
very skinny, petite lady, and then you got Luke Cage, who's this big black guy.
bro. Especially
So
that first panel when he's sitting right, and all you can see is like
yes,
brick wall back, right?
yes, man, this freaking back muscles and stuff.
Yeah,
And so I was thinking, I was like, oh, it might be a little too big for her. I don't
right.
know. That's what I was thinking. You
Sorry. I'm
Hey,
sorry. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
you know?
That's what I was thinking too, bro.
Right?
That's why I'm laughing. I didn't think it was I didn't think it was bunions. Like
Yeah. I was like, dang, like. But then again, now that I'm looking at the panels, because I have the book right here, you could tell the way her face is positioned that she's probably
she's
what
face
position.
down. She's
Yeah,
face,
yeah.
yeah,
Like you can tell, yeah.
yeah. And they did something similar in the show, right? When Betty, of course, in the show, they're not gonna even say anything
oh,
remotely close to it.
this was Netflix back in the day. Like there was Like nowadays, it seems like they're a little what do you call it? Like they
Restricted.
repress.
They're
Yeah,
they're starting to
back
be a little more
then, like
restrictive. Yeah.
no, back then it was no, like everything was gung ho. Like
Yeah.
it
Now,
Yeah.
was,
now you wonder if you wonder why these shows took so long to be made canon, right? Like the Punisher, the Daredevil, the Jessica Jones. It's because they were um, rated R at best, right? And this is like the strictly the only content rated R in the Disney Plus platform. So kudos for Marvel to bring that in and making it canon. Anything else you remember about the first arc?
I just remember like when she first discovers she sees Steve Rogers change into Captain America. I love the panel where she's recording, and then once she see him like change, she's
yeah,
like like her face, the look on her face, it was just amazing. Like, oh, this is juicy. But
Yeah,
it's like some cool things. Like it reminded me of things that like I forgot. I forgot that Captain America had a secret identity. His identity wasn't known to the world at that point in
hmm
time in Marvel
yeah.
Comics. I I was like, wow, that's right. That's right. So really cool stuff, man. You just see how just badass of a character and how determined she is at like
Oh yeah.
finding out and beating the case. It's amazing, amazing stuff.
And I want to talk like since I don't know if we'll ever get a chance to talk about Netflix Marvel. Like Netflix Marvel back in the day, like they were really killing it with like mostly everything, mostly
Mm-hmm.
because I think Luke Cage it broke Netflix. Like when it first came out, like the first weekend, nobody couldn't watch Netflix because Luke Cage came out. Like
bro.
It
that's how
crashed. That's
yeah
right.
it
Yeah.
crashed. It crashed and
I remember I want to say I was in Georgia at the time, and I had this coworker. His name is Forant Macmillan. I'm never gonna forget him. He was like the biggest Luke Cage fan, right? He was
mhm.
he was a communication soldier, right? He was he was he was into going on the gym, working out, getting buff and all that. And then we had like a cosplay or like a Halloween theme going on at work, and he came out as Luke Cage, like the
Oh man,
yellow
Like,
did
shirt
did he have the
and the
yeah.
thing?
jeans. And no,
Did
no,
he
no,
have
like
the
like
no?
from the show, like from the show.
Oh okay.
Yeah.
So, bro, and after that, like every time I think about Luke Cage, I always remember my coworker. Shout out to Foran. Like he was Luke Cage.
That's lit. That's lit, man.
that
Yeah,
first
man.
that oh go ahead Longbox.
I was just looking. I was thinking about the second story arc with Rick Jones.
Oh Rick Jones.
Yeah,
Rick
Yeah,
Jones.
man. Freaking
Dude,
Rick Jones. I know the audience probably knows. Rick Jones. I guess you could
no, I don't think
sidekick.
the audience doesn't really know too much about Rick Jones from what I don't know.
so Reed Jones is like this character, like throughout the Marvel history, right? In the Marvel universe, that he's been either at the right place, right time, or the wrong place, wrong time, right? Like
Yeah.
he's been friends with the Hulk. Um, he got stranded in this alternate dimension because he was, uh,
Cancerverse.
yeah, with Captain Marvel, like Marvel.
Yeah.
They share like the what do you call the mega
The
bands?
same.
That's what
Yeah.
it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with that Rick Jones, it was he was stuck in the Cancerverse, Marvel, and so every time they click the bands, whatever, he would switch spots with Captain Marvel, and then whenever they would cling him back, he would go back into that same universe. So like it was kind of like switching bodies. But I forget when I was reading this how big of a deal Rick Jones was, and like in recent years I haven't heard too much about him, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
he was
man.
a big deal back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Like
Yeah, he was in Avengers stories. He was in Hulk comics. He was in Captain Marvel comics. Like he was everywhere.
you wanted to say, what would you want to say, Longbox?
I was saying, I was like, even in universe, he wrote a book called Sidekick. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was a celebrity too. Yeah,
yeah, man. So, and actually, the cool thing in the story, they actually let you read like I think it was like a page from the book. They talk about like Captain America.
Yeah,
yeah.
like
On
his
issue 8, there's like
Yeah,
Like
Yeah, sidekick, hero. Like page 97 of the book is there, and then you have like a page of the book on the right side. On the left side is Rick Jones with the mega bands on.
yeah, because I think it gives like a breakdown of his association with each character and like how they had all started. Like I forgot he was with Captain America and like he was like the what he cut the replacement for Bucky Barnes. I totally forgot about that until like
I think they mentioned that here too in this arc.
yeah
So
that's the one.
basically, I know we haven't said it. She Jessica gets hired by this girl to find her boyfriend, right? And her boyfriend, um,
Her husband. Her
supposedly,
husband.
oh, their
Oh
husband,
yeah,
yeah,
her
yeah, yeah,
husband. Yeah,
Husband. Yeah.
to find the missing husband. And she told Jessica that her husband was Rick Jones, like the
Rick
famous Rick
Jones.
Jones, right?
Sorry,
And
man.
Jessica,
I be saying Mike Jones.
Jessica was a little skeptical because, like, okay, the girl seemed like a little delusional, like how, like, because the way she was describing the things they would do together, it would sound like it was somebody, an imposter, right? Somebody playing as Rick Jones. And then she finds the guy and he looks like Rick Jones. And when she confronts him, she's like, "Oh, are you with them? Are you with them?" Like he's like paranoid, right? Like,
Yeah.
"Oh, are you a scroll? No, you can't be with. They're following me." And he like bolts out of there. And Jessica is like, she didn't know what to think because he had like a answer for every single question that Jessica would have. Like, why are you not with your wife? Like, why you don't answer? Why you don't return her calls? And he's like, no. If they see me with her, they'll come back and she'll be put in danger. So Jessica's like, I don't know. This is fishy at best.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
And like
Fam.
we're just like she just makes these conclusions and this and that. And I'm like, I mean, I can. She even calls her mom to ask her like, "Are we related to Rick Jones?" And like, I don't know. I think that was the funniest part for me.
It was
Yeah.
the scene with Malcolm, the kid that keeps trying to like, I don't know, he's like a fan of Jessica Jones. He keeps like wanting to like work for her and stuff. And like each time, like she can't even like remember his name. She's like, "Kid, why are you here, fam? Like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Like, what even your name? I'm Malcolm. Like, I can help you out. Like, how are you even in my office?" Oh man, I love that stuff. Malcolm is also in the TV show, but they made him like a drug addict.
Yeah.
They it was for it's because he met what's his name. That's how Kilgrave got him like hooked to come back, which sucks too.
Yeah, there were some choices for the show that were different to say the least, right? Like Malcolm being a grown up and then a drug addict because of Kilgrave, that was different. Malcolm in the comic is just a kid, and then in the comic, her shoulder to lean on is Carol Danvers, who was like Miss Marvel at the time, right?
Yes.
And in the show, it's Patsy Walker. For those of you who don't know, Patsy Walker is Iron Cat, right?
Wait, she's Iron. Oh, she's Iron. She used to be Hellcat, right?
Hellcat. Hellcat. Yeah, in the comics, Patsy Walker is actually Hellcat, like a superhero. And in the show, she's like a child star, basically, a former child star that recovered from the whole lifestyle. So those like the two biggest changes when it comes to like personnel between the book and the show, right? Because Luke Cage is in there. He's featured a lot in the comic. Malcolm, slowly but surely, he ended up being hired, quote unquote hired by Jessica because of his persistence, right? Like Longbox was saying, he kept coming back, and Jessica would like, oh yeah, relentless. The kid was relentless. Hey, so and so called, like she would like open the door to her office, and he'd be like, "Hey, you got a call from so and so. Here's the message." She'd be like, "What? What? Why are you here? Who let you in?"
Like, bro, how are you like? And even as like the reader, like I got to the point where I was thinking like, how is Malcolm like keep breaking it? Like he is breaking and entering, bro. Like how is
he has a key. He has a key. He has to have a key.
Oh man, crazy.
He has
Shout
to have
out
a
to
key.
Malcolm. Malcolm is awesome.
Yeah.
And
So
then
on the second art, I like that in the end, Jessica meets up with this, basically a target, right? She gets hired to find, to like catch somebody's spouse in the act with like cheating with somebody else, right? So she she basically catfishes this person, right? Bro, I know catfish was not a term when this book came out, but that's
yeah,
literally what she does. She lures the psychiatrist to meet with her, right? And she's posing as a
another
gay
guy.
guy, right? And then she sits next to him and she mounts conversation, and she tries to get an explanation on why this Rick Jones guy is doing what he's doing, and more importantly, why other people go along with it, right? Like at face value, you saw the guy, you would not believe he was Rick Jones, but she wanted to know, like, from a professional's point of view, why this is, why this happens, why people actually believe it. And they go into it, right? And she explained that this actual phenomenon is called pseudologica fantastica, where basically people, like, in the back of their mind, basically they know that what they're being told is not true, but they want to believe it because they want to be part of that life. They want to be associated with Rick Jones. They want to say to other people that they are friends or they're lovers or they're, whatever the case may be, with Rick Jones. And if you look it up, it's something that actually happens in real life.
It is real. It is real. It's like that lady who claimed that she used to be with Michael Jackson and her name just happened to be Billie Jean.
Yeah.
but
she
like,
like, she was out there telling people that she was Billy
yeah,
from the song.
from the song, yeah. But like, no, you're not, lady.
Hey,
like,
did you know Michael Jackson didn't even wrote that? Like, come on.
yeah, exactly. Like, well, okay, I guess, lady, whatever.
What do you cut? I liked how back then, well, Brian Michael Bendis in particular, he would write the stories kind of like in a realistic, real world like issue, or not issues, but I guess like stuff like this to like kind of ground the story into like believable sense, kind of like
Yeah, yeah.
maturing. Like for me personally, whenever I was reading Brian Michael Bendis stuff, because I would read the old stuff and like, because it was just like they were, what do you call it, facsimiles,
Yeah,
and then
the true
when I
believers.
yeah, and like I remember reading all that older stuff, and it was kind of like, I mean, it was cool for what it was back then, but then when I would read it,
Mhm.
like Brian Michael Bendis, it felt like he was maturing Marvel and
Yeah,
like helping
yeah.
like newcomers, like, hey, this is not just for kids, guys. It's like you can read it, and you can be entertained, and it will keep your attention all the way through, and even like leaving a lasting impression on you as well. So I
Yeah,
mean,
facts.
that's why I always liked Brian Michael Bendis as a writer. He's always been one of my top ones. I mean, recently I'm not really a big fan of it, but I mean, he already established his work in the early 2000s, and I think he has a spot forever, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, true. I mean, I think one of there's one issue in this comic, and it was an issue that Year wanted me to get to so fast. I remember it got to the point where Year he would message me. He'd be like, "Hey, bro, did you get to issue 10
Where
yet?
you
Can
at?
you hurry?
Where you
Can
at?
you hurry up and get to issue 10, right?" And oh my, that freaking J. Jonah Jameson issue is
Oh,
the funniest shit I have read in like forever, man. And it felt real. Like it felt like if Triple J was a real person, this is exactly how he would act to this
We're talking
situation.
about issue 10, and
Yes.
it's called The End.
Oh man, so
Go
funny,
into it. Go into it. Go ahead.
so funny, man.
let me see.
So basically, JJ hires freaking Jessica Jones to figure out who Spider Man is, right? And she basically plays him, bro. Like long story short, she plays him. She freaking tricks him. I
Hold
think
on,
she
hold on,
got
hold
even.
on, hold on. Before that, you gotta tell the people the reason why she plays him, right? Because typical Jonah Jameson,
Oh yeah.
he summons Jessica to the Daily Bugle, right, to his
Mhm.
office, and he's like, from the moment she gets in the office, he's being a dick to the secretary, to
Yep.
um to Ben Urich,
Robbie.
to Robbie,
Yep.
to everybody, and then he's like disrespectful to her face, like he's being misogynistic, he's being
Mhm.
sexist. Like there's a moment where like he says something to her like it's like off the wall, and she's like, excuse me, and he says, what, you're in your period, you need a tampon or something like that. I was like, whoa,
So did JJ was
whoa,
wilding, bro. JJ was
insane.
wilding, man.
So out of
So
pocket.
super out of pocket, right? So then he tells her, hey, we have, she says, why haven't you figured it out if you have all this information, all this, investigated journalists on it? uh we'll give you everything we have a whole newspaper to run. We'll give you everything we have, and we'll pay expenses, everything. And she was like, how much are you paying? And then you can see in her face that she's about to take them for a ride, bro. Like,
Yes, man.
you, even if you don't notice it, you see her face, and that after you read everything, you go back, you be like, oh my God, it was right there. It was right there. Um, Bro, it's so funny.
It's so funny. It's so funny. You're talking about this panel right here. The look on her face, like, yeah, I'm about to con you.
Yeah.
Like,
So basically, after that meeting, the next thing you see is Jonah calling Ben Urich back to the office, like to get an update on, hey, it's been, however so many days. I haven't heard from you guys. Did you figure out who Spider Man is? And Ben is like, no, we've been working a lot. And he's like, really? So what you been doing? Like, I got all these bills over here. What is this about? And he's like, bills. And said, yeah, I got bills from the hospital. I got bills from an orphanage. I got a bill from a soup kitchen. What is this? What have you guys been doing? He's like, well, Jessica got a lead that that Peter the Spider-Man is supposed to be an orphan. So we went to an orphanage, right? And to gain the trust from the children, we bought him toys, we bought him clothes, we got him, we spent money over there. It's like,
hey,
okay, did you
don't
find
forget the
something?
tapioca pudding, man. Don't forget the
The,
tapioca pudding.
the what?
The $600 worth of tapioca pudding. The-
Bro, he's like, oh, okay, Ben, okay. Did you get something out of that? No, we didn't. The children didn't know anything. Okay, what about this bill from the hospital? Well, we heard that Spider-Man volunteered at the hospital. I think that was the wait, was it volunteer? I think they said
he
he
like
volunteered at the soup kitchen. So they went to the soup kitchen and they bought food and they fed the homeless and the people that went to the soup kitchen to see if they could get somebody to talk. Right. And they bought him donuts, coffee, they threw a feast, and nobody knew who Spider-Man was. So the so the third stop with the hospital. I don't remember exactly what was the reason they went to the hospital. Um, Let me see if I can find it real quick. Uh,
I think it was for the because he said I think it was for like the
the funny part, Jonah hears this, right? He's like, he tells,
yeah, it was for supposedly she volunteered for like the AIDS ward.
yeah,
It was during that time. Yeah.
bro, but Jonah,
Or-
is livid about this. He said, you telling me she's buying food for drunks and bums at the soup kitchen? You spending my money on the homeless? Like, he's upset that they actually help people with his money. And then the same thing at the hospital. They were buying blankets and bringing entertainment for the sick children at the cancer bay or something like that. Like, they literally used the Daily Beagle's budget to to make other people's lives better. And Jonah was not having that. So he's like, I'm gonna call her. I'm gonna call that like he's like, calling her and dropping F
Yeah.
bombs, like typical Jonah. And Ben and Robbie are like, no, don't call her. Like, you should not go public with this. It's like, oh, why not? Well, because if you go public with this, people will know that Jessica Jones, the private investigator, that low life, as you call her, she got a leg up on you. You want people to know that? And he's like,
Oh.
I'm still gonna call her. So he calls, and you can see Jessica doesn't answer. She's at the office with like the biggest smile ever. And he like leaves a message on her on her answering machine. He's like, I just want you to know that your services are no longer required. I know who you are and I know what you try to pull. You think you're clever? Well, let me tell you, Missy, you aren't clever. And you can see Robbie on the background saying like, hang up
Hang
the
up the
phone,
phone.
Jonah. It's like,
Hang up.
and I pray, I get down on my hands and knees, and I pray for the day that you screw up somewhere, because my paper will be so far up your nose that I hate you. And Robbie's like, hang up, bro, bro. I'm not even doing it justice. This is the funniest thing ever.
No, there's one part in that last like line where Jonah's like basically cussing her out on the phone,
Yeah,
and he's smoking a cigar at the same time, but he coughs. He coughs on the cigar. So imagine he's like yeah, blah, 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 and then
yeah.
damn cigar, like, and then it
So
goes back.
the whole line is, and you probably knew who Spider-Man was the entire time. You and your little secret super friends. Well, I hope you take your money, and I hope you super choke on it. Damn cigar,
Yeah. Yeah.
bro.
Oh
It's
man.
funny because then this this story, like, it's like basically like a one shot, because everything else is like a few issues worth of storytelling, right? This is just one issue.
Mhm.
This comes back to uh bite her in the ass in the what is it called?
The
I think it's like the fourth.
spider,
Yeah, I think it's the
spider
fourth.
girl story.
The Spider Girl arc is called The Underneath.
It was
Yeah,
right after the mutant girl who wasn't a mutant,
the
but
Rebecca, bro. Yeah, we can talk about that one too. That's
yeah.
that's that's a little bit. It's funny, but it's a little bit serious. So she gets hired
Yeah.
to go out of the city to the small town, right? Keyword small town, to, I think it was to find a missing girl, right? And then she goes to the school, she talks to the parents, she talks to the police, and the word was, right, that the girl was supposed to be a mutant, right? And everybody in that small town were not, they had like no tolerance for mutants, right? Like the people from the church dismiss or talk, they said that she was like unhuman. They basically saw her less than people at the school. As soon as they thought she was a mutant, they outed her, and she started to get bullied and all these things. Then the police thought um, that the girl run away. The mom thought that the father had done something to the girl, like maybe sexually assaulted her, and they got rid of her. Like, the story was all over the place. Uh,
Mhm.
like Lombard said, the girl was not a mutant. I think she was bisexual or lesbian,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. And
And
I love it because the story, it really showed, it was basically like a kind of like a coming out story, and it had those parallels to like real life. They like were
yeah,
comparing like the mutants to like the LGBT
exactly. It was
community.
it was a
Yeah.
story about bigotry, right? Like,
Hmm.
the bigotry of the people, the small-minded people from the small town, you know, saw that she was different, and they pretty much bully her, and
Yeah.
she disappeared on her own accord. Basically, she was into hiding. I don't remember if she was hiding with that other girl, but she was just hiding. She got fed up of being bullied, of being mistreated, of being talked down, and being treated less than. So she basically ran away, and Jessica
Yeah.
found her, of course.
Yeah, and it gets pretty deep because Stuff happened to her dad. He didn't even like do anything really, like he didn't do nothing wrong.
Yeah,
And, yeah, but it
This
also started her interesting little relationship with Scott Lang. So
yeah, yeah. That's something that is not in the show. She actually dated Scott Lang, the second Ant Man in this book.
because I think in the show it was at that time it was who was in charge? It was Jeff Loeb in charge, and it was kind of like a wishy washy situation where like this is an MCU, but the MCU itself is not going to acknowledge it at the same time.
Yeah,
So, but the shows were really good, so it kind of like Kevin Feige kind of I don't think he liked it because now he wanted he was in full control like he is now with like the shows and the movies.
yeah,
yeah. And I
It
also
would have
want
been
to say,
cool.
my bad. I also want to say this is like in issue 12. It's the first time we actually get a full glimpse of the alter ego of Jessica Jewel. Right? She was like um, flying around and she saw Thor and like she got acknowledged by
Oh
Thor.
yeah.
And it was like a little dream that she had, or like a little memory when she was dreaming. So I like the first glance at superhero Jessica.
Oh,
Um,
and that
like,
comes back later on when they go to
Yeah.
their her
yeah.
origin and
So like
Oh,
we're not
okay. Yeah.
we're never told what was her life before she was a private investigator, but we started to get crumbs throughout the book. Like a page here, a page there, with no explanation, right?
Kind of like in
Now,
the show, right?
yeah, very clever. Yeah, exactly like in the show. I thought it was very clever because like you're wondering while you're reading this or the main plots on these different arcs, you're wondering, you know, oh yeah, she was a hero. Like, what's up with that? Or what happened with that? Like,
yeah,
when are we gonna see it? And then eventually, in the last, I don't know, 8, 9 issues, you actually get to see a whole story.
yeah, man. And it's deep, man. It's deep.
Yeah.
Like it has that's the character of the Purple Man shows up. I really like Jessica's origin. We find out that
Oh,
she went to high school with Peter Parker.
oh yeah. Can we talk about that next? Like,
Yeah. Let's
Hold on,
let
hold on. Not yet, not yet, like not yet.
you
Let-
sure?
Not yet, not yet, not yet.
Okay.
Let's talk about the underneath the story, the underneath, because
Yes, your
that
girl.
is that is my favorite, right? Brian Michael Bendis wanted to make this book about Jessica Drew because he was a fan of Spider Woman, right? But because of all the adult themes that they were going to be in this book, they said, "Nah, you're going to have to come up with your own character for this, right?" But because Bendis always did whatever he wanted to do, he ended up bringing Jessica Drew into the book, right? Jones goes back to her apartment one night, and Maddie Franklin, the
I think she's like
Spider
the
Woman from the
third,
'90s, is like,
fourth Spider Woman. I think she no,
yeah, basically the fourth. If you count the
she was
yeah,
after Carpenter. She was after Julie Carpenter. I think.
well, no, there was another one, Witherspoon or Whitaker. It was like an evil Spider Woman. Yeah, I'll tell you right now. Hold on. He was Charlotte Witter, the Spider Woman.
Okay.
Yeah, she was a villain, and then Maddie Franklin, Spider Girl, and then Spider Woman. But it happened like simultaneously. Not too long, Alias came out. Anyway, Maddie is in her apartment, like high out of her mind, and Jessica's like, "Who are you? Like, what are you doing here?" And Maddie just like flies away, and then she starts to look into like, who is this girl? Why was she in my apartment? She looked like she needed help, like in her condition. And then the next night, I think it is, she comes back to her apartment and Jessica Drew is waiting for her. And she like blasts her. And she's like, "Hey, I'm Jessica Drew. I heard you was looking for Maddie. Where is Maddie?" And it's really cool because like the way Jessica is introduced, like she's not Spider Woman in the '90s. She wasn't Spider Woman. She was a private investigator, just like Jessica Jones. And then Um, Jones gets her licks back. Like as soon as she wakes up, she like punches the hell out of Drew and knocks her out. And then they're like, they make up and like, all right, you got me. What's going on? And they team up,
Yeah,
and
because
it's super.
it's awesome, man. And
Yeah.
it's found out Maddie, she got involved with like a bad crowd. They're taking like this drug that gives them like mutant powers.
So yeah, they
Yeah.
were keeping Maddie high, right? And she was like, um, she was a girl still, right? They were keeping her high because they were extracting, I think it was bone marrow from her back to use it to synthesize mutant growth hormone, right? And if you read, Marvel comics, and, every now and then that comes about, like mutant or human growth hormone. It was a part of the plot of Civil War. Uh,
Mhm.
uh, it's seen in different mutant stories. Basically, if you're a mutant and you take the mutant growth hormone, your powers get enhanced.
Augmented.
Enhance,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, and then but if you're human, you'll get a random set of powers temporarily, right? And these guys, they were some low lives. They had her basically kidnapped because they kept their drug all the time, so they could extract bone marrow, and then they could literally smoked this synthesized drug, and get powers.
Mhm.
And Jones saw her at a club, and they were doing this in front of people, right? These guys were not hiding, and she tried to help, but this guy's like made a mess out of Jones because they were enhanced. They had like electric powers, super strength, all these things. So Drew and Jones team up, and this is when that story with Jonah comes back to kick her in the butt because
Yep.
she finds out that Maddie is a ward of Jonah Jameson. Basically, they kind of like adopted Maddie Franklin. And when she finds that out, she goes to Jonah and say, "Hey, I know your niece is missing. I need information to find it." And Jonah, he already don't trust her. So she's like, "Oh, what do you want? You want money? Are you trying to extort me? Are you trying to blackmail me? Like get the hell out of my face." So Jonah is not. He doesn't provide any help.
I think it was
Uh,
his wife that ended up like, helping out.
Helping, yeah. So anyway, Drew and Jones team up, and they combine their PI skills to find Maddie. And when they do, like they got her like holed up in this hotel room, and when they open the door, Speedball was in there trying to make a citizen's arrest, right?
Yes.
And it's like, don't move. Who are you? Blah blah blah. Nobody move. Blah blah. And Speedball gets nervous, and his powers get out of control, and he starts to basically sweat all these kinetic balls out of his body, and they fill the entire room of
Yes,
all
man.
these bouncing like rubber balls full of like kinetic energy, and everybody gets hit with those damn balls. It's like the craziest scene in the
And
whole
didn't it
book.
make you think of Civil War? Like I was just thinking of
Yeah.
Civil War like the whole time, that whole scene. Like I was like, wow, look at like Bendis like planting seeds that he's gonna use like later on, man. It's crazy. I love it.
It's hilarious because everybody's like getting hit by those balls, and then like Drew and Jones are like cursing, and the bad guys are there too, and then Speedball is like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't control it." It's hilarious.
There was this one interview I saw with Joe Quesada, and he was with Ryan Stegman and Donny Cates, and it was like when they first recruited because they were talking about Brian Michael Bendis. They said that they actually they planned a lot of that stuff out years ahead of like all the events,
Oh
so
wow.
that way it could be like a stream, like it could be like one timeline that they can all like stick to. And eventually, he
Man,
said that they dropped that because that way they could give writers more freedom to do stories and stuff like that.
I
but
mean,
I
now that
think it
you,
was so awesome though. I feel like you look at that early to mid and late like 2000s Marvel comics
Mm-hmm.
are just
Something else.
amazing, man. Like you can go from reading New Avengers by Bendis, and then you could read Amazing Spider-Man by J. Michael Straczynski, and you can see like everything being
everything's
connected.
connected.
Yes.
Everything's connected.
Oh man.
Yeah,
I wish we still had that. I
Yeah, me
wish we
too.
still had that.
I
and
miss
it's
old
not like
Marvel.
there's references or there's like a something in the background of the panel or a character mentions something. No, the stories actually overlap each other. Like you'll see like Bendis his whole first volume of New Avengers had to deal with the fallout of the House of M, right? And that was implicated in the story. Then you had like the return of the of when they found Magneto, that this power source came back to Earth that had all the powers of all the mutants, right? When they
Mhm.
have been disappear, the collective, that's what it was called, right? The New Avengers had to deal with that. Then Civil War happened. The New Avengers have
Uh,
to navigate through that as well. Then you had um Secret
Secret
Invasion,
Invasion, but
Dark
before and
Reign,
then Dark
then
Reign. So
Siege,
Dark
so
Reign, yeah.
so all of these things too, they were connected in Warren Ellis's Thunderbolts run. If you read that
Thunderbolts
run,
were connected, Mighty Avengers were
well,
connected.
because like Thunderbolts was kind of like the backbone if you think about it. If you read that one, if you read that
Mhm.
run, it connects Secret Invasion, Dark Reign, and I think what was the other one? Oh, and
Civil
Civil
War,
War.
Civil War.
All of that, yeah, because they were kind of like working in the background when all that
Yeah.
stuff was happening, and like it set up so much. And I'm
Yeah,
sorry we
man.
got off topic, but I mean,
No, I mean it just shows like the genius, the genius of Brian Michael
because
Bendis.
And it
oh
makes sense that you say that this was planned, right? Because the next story, like
wait
the next big story in Alias is Purple, right? The story
yeah
involving
oh,
the Purple Man, and
wait. Well, I
and,
was gonna
and
say there was this one time too in the comics where there was some characters and they came back from the future and they asked if Secret Invasion happened, if the scrolls invaded, and then they questioned them. I forgot what it was. Maybe I'll find the panel post, but they questioned
Please
them, and
find
then
that.
the Avengers are like, what? And then they're like, oh, we can't. Never mind. Like they said, like it sounded like they said too much, but it was like I think 2 years before Secret Invasion came out.
That's
So
so
yeah,
wild.
I
that
think it was like a Wolverine comic or like because like they teased it beforehand. But
so
but yeah, my bad.
there. No, you're good, man. You're good. There's a couple things that are put down in this last arc that Bendis then picks up in on the New Avengers, right? Like the
Yeah, I
first
was
one
gonna say
being,
that too.
you know, Luke and Jessica being involved. Like at the end,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Luke and Jessica, they decide they stay together. They're gonna have a baby, right? And then you have like the Purple Man, um, um,
In
whole
the
villain thing,
prison,
right?
yeah,
Right.
they're all in that same prison that the end at the beginning of.
Exactly. So that's immediately picked up in New Avengers, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that even though people said that the Max Marvel comics are not canon, I would say Alias is the only one
This
that it
one
is,
is. Yeah,
because
this one
Alias
is.
is, yeah.
in the first arc in New Avengers, they go to, I think it's called Rikers, the island
Yeah,
prison, and the Purple Man is one of
is in
the inmates that is released, and he immediately wants to come after Luke Cage, and Luke Cage, you know, it's I don't know, I don't remember if it's explicitly stated, but there's history between them, and Luke Cage immediately puts him out for what he has done before, right? The
Yeah.
other thing that is
well the way
mentioned,
he the way he talks about him too, it sounds like he knows him because like
right?
whenever she's opening up to him, you can tell like oh like the way he, we said earlier about Brian Michael Bendis and like the way his dialogue says, like you can tell that he has run into this guy and he doesn't like him.
And it was personal, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could tell like right off the bat, like the way he talked. Like I'm not gonna say what he said, but you can tell like oh yeah, I personally don't like this guy.
Yeah.
Now let me say I'm the biggest hater. I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. I hate the way that you dress. I hate the way that you sneak this. If I catch flight, it's gonna be direct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that Bendis does, right, when he retcons Jessica into continuity, right, putting Jessica into Peter's high school, and
Oh, I love that
and she
issue.
was like in love, like she had a crush with Peter Parker, right? And then in
Love
the
it.
New
And Human
Avengers,
Torch.
right? And then in the New Avengers, when everybody reveals their identity and Jessica realizes that Peter is Spider-Man, she's like, Peter, we went to high school together. I used to have a huge crush on you, right? And then when Luke hears that, it was like, oh, what? Wait, hold on. You dated Peter? You dated Spider-Man? And like for several moments in the run, Luke brings that up because he can't let it go. Like, how come you never told me you had a crush on Spider-Man?
That's because at the time, Peter's identity was public because it was during Civil War and
So it
shit.
was crazy, right? And this is how being connected works out again, right? Civil War happens. Peter's identity is revealed, and then later on in his run, they have what was that run called when they involved Mephisto?
Oh,
You
one
talking
bad
about
day.
one more
One
day.
bad day. Oh yeah.
One more day
One more day.
happens,
Mhm.
right? His identity is secret again, and
But I think Bendis being told that this is going to be outside of the universe, he was like, "Hold my beer."
Facts, man.
yeah,
Like, and what I loved the issue with the origin,
Mm-hmm.
what he cut, it just they went back to the old artwork of like it kind of reminded me of Steve Ditko or who it was Steve Ditko, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Because
reminded me of
they
that.
show the exact first
Exactly.
page of
Yeah.
Amazing Fantasy number 15, like that first
Yeah,
page,
dude.
and it's just oh man, it
Did
turns
you get
into
Peter
like
with the
nostalgic?
glasses and the high top,
Did y'all
uh,
get nostalgic? Because I
man,
did.
yeah. It was weird because it felt like I'm getting nostalgic for an era that I wasn't even alive for, man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just amazing. This is why I love comic books so much, man. It's just amazing what these stories can make you feel. And in fact, you like see cute little nerdy Jessica, and the fact she was there
Oh
when
yeah.
like
Peter
scrapbook.
got bit.
and she had like a
And
scrapbook.
she was about to grab him too, right
Yes.
before he was about to get bit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
man.
man.
This is when retcons, are done good, right? The art,
Yes.
is similar to the actual original art from that moment, right? When we're retconning this character into that continuity. They involve her in some key moments, right? And
Mhm.
but not so much where to like you will have to
Throw
explain
everything.
how Peter doesn't know her, right? Because
Yeah.
they put her on the spot and she knew Peter, she was there, but Peter didn't know her,
It's show and tell. It
right?
was show instead of tell.
So
And even
it's
at
perfect.
that, there was this one part I liked where he's trying to go and confront her after the parents' death.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's trying to be sympathetic instead of actually like being what was the thing she was asking not to be pitied.
Pe-
She wasn't-
Pitier, but he had just lost Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
So
And
he
not just that,
understood.
yeah. Yes.
It was great.
I was like, oh, you don't know what he's trying
You don't
to do.
know.
You don't know. Like, oh man, dude.
Oh
Oh,
man,
that part got me too.
it got me, man.
and that's when
Because
she leaps off for the first time and she realizes that she had those powers.
you could tell that he's still raw from that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
it's still there. Like it's
yeah.
still
Like
fresh.
this probably happened like last week.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
like he. Oh
And they
man,
both got their powers at the same time. I just realized
there's
that
another
too.
parallel. There's another
And-
parallel
and-
to Peter Parker when she almost gets hit by that truck. But
Oh, the
guy-
Daredevil! The Daredevil! Oh my gosh, yes! The
She almost get hit by a
Daredevil!
truck.
Oh
And then
my
that's the
gosh.
date, like, oh man, oh bro.
Oh,
bro.
I know.
Ah.
And then
Beautiful.
and then it goes in the sewers and then they become the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, connected.
Hey,
It's
It's
all
all connected, man. It's all connected. I'm not gonna lie. This is how you do a retcon. This is how you do a
Yes.
retcon.
yes.
It fit perfectly because I know we all know as comic book fans. Sometimes we read retcons and we're like, really, you know. But this, it slid in perfectly.
yeah. A lot of retcons, give you plot holes, and then the writer and the editor they just expect you to ignore it, right, for the sake of
Mhm.
what they're putting out at the time. But there are retcons every now and then that everything clicks.
Yes, man. Oh,
Yeah. This
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 fucking-
issue. That's why I like this issue so much, man. Like I was like, man, that's just that with even the art style, man. Like I was just like, man, dude, this is just.
yes.
I think that's what really won it over because it was the old school artwork, but it was telling like kind of the same story at the same time.
Yeah, man. Like,
I
check
think
the
that
freaking
was my
stop
favorite
the
part.
scorpion, bro.
Oh yeah, that part too.
Oh man, so many great moments. I absolutely, I love that part. Then of course it goes into the purple
Oh man,
storyline.
I feel so bad for her. Like, dude, the Avengers, man. Like,
Yeah.
they colored a couple shades of gray with that story arc
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
with
Mm-hmm.
the
So
Avengers.
so what, I don't know if we said it in the beginning, but the show Jessica Jones, the first season, is loosely based on the last arc, right? Purple Haze or Purple from the Alias, right? That the one that involves the Purple Man, Kilgrave. So different choices that were made for the show that were different from the book, right? Like in the show, they outright say, while Jessica was under the control of Kilgrave, that they were having she and she was beat by this guy and all these other things, right? In the comic, he has her do the worst thing publicly that she has to do for Kilgrave is that she attacks the
The
Avengers,
Avengers.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to like the part, if I remember correctly, right, I don't want to mess this up. He has her like strip for him and beg him for him to like or
Yeah.
to do things with her, right? And she never touches her. Like she makes her beg to the point like she's crying and or she's like
He mentally abuses her.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
He, according
You
to
can
him,
see
he
in the
never.
artwork
Yeah,
where she'd be like doing what he's saying, but like somewhere in her mind, she's like, I don't want to do, like, you would see like tears coming down like
yeah. The
her
twitch on
face
the
and stuff.
eyes.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah,
just
like he
it's
will bring
heartbreaking.
other females right under his mind control and
Yeah.
like force them or together, and he'll have her like stand at a corner and watch either or barely or cosplaying or something and just be saying things, being forced to saying things. It was like mental,
Yeah, it was yeah.
emotional, and even though he never like he didn't have to touch her, it was
He
horrible,
was
right?
in her mind. He was in her
Yeah,
mind.
it literally broke Jessica, right?
It did.
um
I kind of like the show. I like the show a little more how it did that and showing that in the show she takes someone's life and that's what really broke her because there was our that was part of her core, her as the core of a person, how she's always looking out for someone.
Yeah.
And that was my favorite part of the show, that it actually shows a lot that she actually cares for another human
Yeah.
and what actually makes her a hero in the show. So
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
everyone,
Oh, you can go ahead. Sorry. I was so sorry.
it's okay. Like every like in the show, it kind of carefully plots out everyone in her life is there because she kind of saved them. Like what's the name? The kid,
Malcolm.
Malcolm.
yeah,
That one. When I was rewatching, I was like, that's how they met. Okay, and like, but what were you gonna say, Longbox?
I was gonna say like just going in like Jessica's character, through the whole series, she's very like, tough as nails. She doesn't really like get emotional. She doesn't, you know, really like show her emotions or like talk with somebody. But the fact that she basically like broke down with like Luke Cage and told him what happened with Kilgrave and all of that. And it showed like real like strength in the character, because it's hard for anyone to tell someone else that they might care about or whatever what has happened in their lives, right?
yeah. It's a shame.
It's hard.
It's a shame, and
It's
it's
Yeah.
hard.
it's it's the same theme in the book, right? Like she doesn't kill anybody, right? But
Mhm.
when when she's forced to fight the Avengers, right? And they finally, I don't remember exactly if they knock her out or something. And when she wakes up, like the entire roster of the Avengers, Nick Fury, and a bunch of other people are in the hospital. And she wakes up, she remembers what she did, right? She knows it was her fault, but she remembers. And everybody's like, hey, you're good. We know what happened. We know it wasn't your fault. We're sorry,
But
that you went through this and that, we had to fight you and all that. Just we want to let you know that, we're not blaming you. but she is so ashamed, not just of fighting the Avengers, but by all the other stuff that Kilgrave forced her to do, that she completely walks away from the superhero life, right? Nick
Well,
Fury even offered her a job as a Shield agent,
Yeah.
right? And she says no. She like completely abandons the superhero life because of the shame that she felt. Right? She felt powerless. She felt like she was like a fraud because she couldn't fight off Kilgrave's influence. And it's the same in the show. She won't talk about it. She won't go to the little support group that Malcolm has to talk to the other victims of Kilgrave because she's just ashamed.
she's
In
so
the
hardened.
yeah,
By
and the
what
first time she speaks to somebody about it outside of Patsy Walker or in the comic outside of Carol Danvers, it's Luke Cage.
and the worst part in the show is that they add that extra drama that it's actually his wife.
Oh, bro, that was a crazy spin
Yeah.
on the story, right? And then the
That was
fact that she
crazy.
slept with Luke after knowing that she had his
Dude,
wife.
she had the picture in the
Oh,
mirror.
bro,
Yeah.
when Luke
Oh
says,
man,
you let me inside of you after you my wife, I was like,
dude, the way
whoa,
he
bro,
delivered that line,
Yeah, man.
bro.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
dude. And that's since we're on the show already, dude. Kilgrave in the show, man, just had like
Excellent casting.
nobody
Excellent
talks
casting.
about this character, man. Like he was. There's a reason why the Marvel shows were so good. You had Kingpin,
Mhm.
and then after this, you had Kilgrave, and then Bullseye, and then what was the other one?
You had
Cottonmouth.
Cottonmouth. Yeah.
Oh my god, dude! It's just
The
like we
Netflix
need more of these
Marvel
villains.
shows were running on jet fuel. Okay, they were running on jet
Yeah,
fuel.
man.
Every
Except for
single
Iron
casting,
Fist.
Those early seasons. Oh my gosh, man.
bro. Everybody that was casted for these shows was perfect.
Yeah.
Kilgrave, Jessica, Luke,
Oh,
right?
even the Punisher villain too.
The
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 Billy
Punisher. Yeah,
Yeah. Jigsaw.
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 Come on, bro.
Yeah,
Like
man.
dude, the
Kingpin,
Netflix.
Claire, the nurse, Paige, Foggy,
They
Like the
Daredevil himself. Come on, man.
like
Stick,
the prop.
bro. Nobody
Yeah.
talks about Stick.
No.
That was a great choice for
facts.
casting.
Perfect
And
casting.
and I think what did cut? Well, I was gonna say too. The problem with the MCU, the movies, the shows didn't really have them because they had the good sideline characters, they had the good villains, and they didn't kill off their villain. Well, Cottonmouth. I mean, I don't know, we're not gonna talk about that because that one. But at least we're getting Blade. Him as Blade, so
Yeah.
One of
R.I.P.
these
Cottonmouth.
days.
He used to. I remember watching Luke Cage for the first time,
oh,
and the first time I watched it was with my wife, and I used to always get tickled like how Mahershala Ali, when he would talk as Cottonmouth, he always did this thing with his hand.
oh yeah.
Like he'd be like, you see, like he would always, and I thought it was like the coolest shit, because he'd be like wearing suits and stuff, man. Mahershala Ali, goated actor, always will be.
And it kind of came from the piano too. Like that's why he kind of like.
Yeah.
I think that's why he like kind of always did that because he was always kind of like he wants to play it, but that's not who he is anymore. But,
Yeah, man.
oh man,
Great.
dude.
Great stuff, man.
I miss Netflix Marvel. This is why I kind of hard on the Disney Plus shows because like the Netflix Marvel is just so good.
So good. Yeah. And I feel like if people are missing that, they need to read Alias, man. It's good. I don't think we want to like spoil the complete ending because of course
because I haven't read it all.
yeah, man, 'cause of course,
Oh, you
of
know
course,
something really cool on the ending of this book? There's some four wall breaks by some
yes.
of the characters,
Yes.
and I would say it's like a love letter from Bendis to Jessica Jones, right? Because like one of them is Purple Man. When he sees Jessica, he says, "Oh, Jessica Jones. If it isn't my favorite, comic book character,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a four wall break from the writer."
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he really was told. I think the only reason why this is a max is because of all the mature content and the non censorship. I think that's the only reason why it's a Max. Like it still has the Max line. Like
Yeah,
if it
because
wasn't
there's nudity in here. There's a lot
Yeah,
of like
adult
there's
themes.
nudity. There's hardcore use of, especially when they're doing of the back of Mary Franklin. Like it's graphic.
Mature, yeah,
It's
there's a lot of
graphic.
mature themes.
Yeah,
not for the kiddos, man.
yeah. The
No, this
scenes with the scenes
not.
with Jessica in Purple Man when he's like telling her to undress or to like
Do all the
say,
bad stuff. Yeah,
yeah, he's like
It
say
makes you
your
feel
money.
uncomfortable. It makes
Yeah,
you feel uncomfortable for real.
yeah,
yeah,
and
and it's supposed to do that because that's part of the. That's
because
part
it's the villain, like
yeah.
yeah,
And I think they did that just to like show the impact, and they're not doing it just to be like gratuitous or anything like that.
yeah,
They're
no,
doing it. It's a purpose of this.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely.
Because I know nowadays, like when they do that type of stuff, it's more for shock and awe.
shock
And with this
value,
one,
shock value, yeah.
yeah, and with this one, it's just that's what needs to be told in this story.
Yeah,
everything have a purpose. I still tell Year to this day, thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. I've had this omnibus in my collection. I don't know for probably the last 3 or so years.
damn.
I just never got to it. And when I saw you raving about it, I was like, all right, let me go ahead and get to it, read it, and it's amazing. It has made it. It's in there. I know for a fact it's in my like top 20.
Top 20
series. I know for a fact. I haven't placed it just yet, but I know for a fact it's in my top 20.
It's a timeless book. It's timeless.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No way.
The first time I heard about this was from and he doesn't make any videos, but he's the reason why I started making videos because he stopped making videos. His name is Comics Guide 101 on YouTube, and he reviewed the Alias series before the Jessica Jones, and he did really good reviews. And he reviewed the series, and I was like, I need to find that book. And he's the one that actually started talking about omnibuses, so that's why I started getting them. But the funny thing is about this omnibus that I bought for Alias. So there's a Facebook group on for like omnibus collecting. I'm sure Longbox has heard of it. Omnibus Cafe.
Yeah, Omnibus Cafe. Yeah.
So like them, and I think it was but I bought it off of there. Not even 2 days later, I bought this like overpriced. Like I bought it like 120, 125, 130, something like that. The reprint gets called either 2 days or 2 weeks later, and I'm like, I just bought the book. It's coming in, and I could have saved like $40, $50.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro.
I was like,
They got you.
My wallet. Well, it's because it was Max. Like back then, like whenever they started doing the reprints, like you didn't know which one was going to get reprinted. Like
I think people need to understand, like the omnibus game. A lot of things have changed. Like there was a time, bro, if you didn't get an Omni the day it came out,
you were gone.
You're
You
gone.
have to pay a premium for it.
Them things used to sell like crazy, man.
And don't even get me started on scalpers.
Oh man, yeah. And like the freaking things would be out of print for so long. Now I can honestly say you don't have to buy every Omni to come out. Yeah. And they're reprinting stuff like left and right. You will get your book one day. Like patience.
Yeah.
I think overpaying is a thing of the past now. Honestly.
Yeah, because that FOMO stuff is gone.
Yeah, it's gone. I think Marvel has caught on that people love to buy these things because and
DC's starting to get the hang of it too now.
Yes.
Because they're doing like this silent these silent restocks.
Yes. They don't even announce them. They just
they're just up on the website.
What is it called? Drop culture? When they're like, "Oh, we're reprinting. It's coming out tomorrow," and now you have 8 hours to figure it out.
There's like this guy on YouTube is Near Mint Condition. He'll like announce all the Marvel stuff.
Genmin. You mean Genmin?
Yeah. No,
that's a near mint condition. There's Genmin.
Oh, it's different. Okay.
And then there's a near mint.
Yeah, he's and like he used to do DC, but I think he said DC stopped contacting him. But Marvel, I already have my list for this year. I got to make that video.
DC, they have started to contact him again, but he only does DC as like they only send out their full catalog. So he does those on like his live streams and whatnot.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Man. I gotta
So
check
you
those
can't
out.
get those. But like Marvel, he'll announce a book like as they
Yeah.
give him the go ahead to announce.
Yeah,
it.
he's like connected to Marvel.
Okay.
So yeah, but yeah, back then, dude, it was so hard. Like, dude, I at that time I was making really good money, so I was able to get my books. There was one or two I didn't get, but eventually, like Longbox said, the reprints came. So now it's easier to get on the buses. Back then, it was not like because like for the longest time, like there was only on the buses, and then it was like in the early 2000s, late 2010s, and then whenever they started doing them again, like it was a big deal because Annihilation was never reprinted. There's only like a few of them, and like they were always selling for $300 to $400.
Yeah, man. I
Damn.
remember there's a couple of
Yeah.
them that have now, thanks to like things getting reprinted, was easy. I remember like the Ed Brubaker Captain America's was like hard to get.
Yeah, those I remember those.
there's
The
a
Uncanny
couple of
Uncanny X Force. That one still goes out of print every time they reprint it.
Yeah, man. I remember I used to like. I remember back like, because I started collecting Omnis when I was in high school, and like when it came to like Christmas or like my birthday or something, I just asked for Omnis that I wanted. That's how I got this fucking collection, bro. I just asked for Omnis I wanted, and then when my little freaking side job at freaking Sonic Drive-In, I would like stack up my paper and try to get like a freaking Omni, right? But
Did you
yeah,
get
man,
obsessed?
Oh, you get obsessed. Once you buy one, you're gonna.
Yeah, you're gonna want the. Oh man, well, I never read this run. I've always wanted to read this run. Oh, this one's coming out. I've always wanted to read that one, and I had a little shelf.
Yeah.
And then it became like yours.
Yeah, man. I had a little shelf too.
Dude, and the shelf was collapsing too. It was like that, and I was like, I need to buy a new one like yesterday. I was like, can I afford not to miss? Can I afford this week to miss out on this one omnibus? Okay, yes, it's just a reprint of a Golden Age. Okay, cool. Let me go buy a new rack. Yeah, and then one rack became another rack, and then I went to go help a lady. She was emptying out her garage or her storage unit, and she had an extra like. I was lucky enough to have a bookshelf there, and she was like, "You can have it. I've been trying to get rid of it." I was like, "I'll take it. I need it, but I'll take it. I'll take it. You don't even have to pay me. You could just give me this. Like, I'll take it." And man.
But like the fact that like when you realize you have to invest in quality bookshelves, man.
Yes.
Like, cause these bitches they heavy, man.
Yeah.
Better Home and Gardens has really, really good Calyx stuff. Like, it will work. Those are the best ones. They haven't shifted. I wish I could have bought them in the beginning, but those I really recommend if anybody's watching.
See, that's how you know this is a omnibus collector. Like, he knows about shelves. I collect single issues. I don't know about shelves. I get some shelves for the boxes. That's it.
They'll help the boxes too. Trust me. They'll have like
bro.
They're sturdy enough. They're sturdy.
In fact, the only thing that sucks, bro, I tell y'all, I am dreading a PCS. I am dreading a PCS. I'm in the military just like you, right? And I'm dreading.
Bro, I just moved.
The last time I PCS, that was some bullshit. I hated packing that shit up, and now
you got more.
Now I have more. So yeah.
Did they move yourself, or you had the Air Force contract company?
So I did the move myself. I did for my books and stuff. I did it. I was like, I don't want no rinky-dink folks up in here.
Backbreaking.
But yeah, man, it's just. But hey, it is.
Hey. So I have an idea. Maybe we should pitch to Year how the Energon universe is a must-read.
You know what? You mentioned that because just in case that was going to be brought up, I made sure I had them ready.
Yes.
I made sure I had them ready. So I've had the pleasure. I literally just read all this stuff this month. I got all caught up this month. It was so Energon universe. It's coming out of Skybound, which is like Robert Kirkman's imprint with Image, right? And there's 3 series. Yeah, 3 series now. There's
four.
Void Rivals.
It's four, right? Yeah, it's Void Rivals, Transformers.
Oh yeah. Four.
There's a Cobra Commander, and then Duke.
And it's basically the GI Joes and Transformers together, like how they should have always been forever. Like I don't know. Of course, there's been like crossovers in the past, but they never
this is
really.
Skybound. This is Skybound.
Yeah. This is brand
talent.
New. Oh man, Robert Kirkman. You got freaking
Daniel
Warren Johnson, man. If you like freaking do a Powerbomb and Murder Falcon and all that stuff, oh my gosh! Imagine seeing Optimus Prime freaking do wrestling moves.
That's what
yes,
okay.
Bro.
Oh, was telling me.
Okay.
Oh man, dude, bro.
Man.
I was telling Year when I was reading the Transformers. I was reading like for a video that we did. Dude, I was in a coffee shop and something happened to my boy in the comic, and I was like, no. But then I was like, I'm in a public place. I gotta say no. Like, I gotta bring it down a notch. Like I gotta go from 9 to a 7.
Bro.
Like, I gotta go down.
Literally, my wife. I was reading these, and my wife she would look at me like, what? Like, what is going on over here? I'm like, no, bro, it's amazing. Like Transformers, right now, 6 issues in. It's amazing. I had to get some of the. I think this was the 3rd printing or something. That first printing,
dude, they sold out fast.
Yeah,
I got lucky.
And oh, bro, the
covers too, man.
The covers are amazing. And Daniel Warren Johnson, he understands these characters, bro. He has such a voice for them. Like Optimus, he feels like the heroic, loyal, hopeful leader you need him to be, and he's badass. And
with one arm.
With one arm, bro. Freaking one arm. He tore off his arm and was using it as a weapon.
Dude.
Oh, bro. Oh. There's just some gnarly stuff that happens in this. Starscream. He's still
Starscream.
Starscream.
Oh man,
bro.
Dude.
It's just amazing. It's just amazing. It's amazing. So that's that series.
And then I've always wanted to get into G.I. Joe, but I never knew where to start. And Duke, man, and this guy is badass.
Dude, I've been a G.I. Joe fan for quite some time, right? And Duke, I love how they're setting up this G.I. Joes. The fact that Hawk, he's only a colonel now, which we know future he will become General Hawk once G.I. Joe kicks off. We got all different type of G.I. Joe characters, man. We got a Sergeant Stalker who's in there. Freaking Rock and Roll is in there. The Baroness.
I was about to say,
some good things that happen in the Duke series.
And the artwork too, man. I really love the artwork in Duke.
It's amazing. It's by Tom Riley. Tom Riley does the art.
Amazing, man. Amazing. And it starts that Duke issue. It starts in Transformers issue 2.
Yes, because he witnesses Starscream. He
unalives his friend right in front of him.
Yes, man. And he's trying to tell. He tried to tell Colonel Hawk hey man, I see this stuff, and they're kind of
this
shushing
guy's
him
lost
up.
it.
They're he's crazy.
It. Yeah,
he's crazy. Discharge. Boom. And it you can see the remnants of Cobra building up because they have Destro. He has some company, and they're making freaking his tanks. And man, I'm just and then you got freaking Cobra Commander in his series.
Oh man, dude, that first issue was fire, bro.
Fire, bro. They go into freaking Cobra La and how he was a scientist and he breaks off, and then you have the freaking Dreadnoks there, and it's if I don't know, maybe I really enjoy these because I grew up with G.I. Joe and Transformers. That was something that my uncle was always into, so of course, I got into it.
I never grew up with G.I. Joe, but I've always wanted to. Dude, I am having a blast with these comics, man. These comics are way too good. I haven't read Void Rivals yet. I haven't went to go pick it up, but I'm told I have to. Christian from Comic Book Stash is always talking about it.
Yeah, man, Void Rivals was amazing. It's where it all started. I will say Void Rivals, it does get a little like cliche. Like if you read Saga, where you have like this warring fashion and then these two characters that come together.
The Romeo and Juliet thing.
They don't have there. I wouldn't say there's a love story just yet with the two characters in Void Rivals, but I can see it becoming that, if it makes sense.
They can always change it.
And they could always change it, but it's amazing too. There's some deep Transformers like
really
lore in Void Rivals. Like it goes into stuff.
Unicron? Does it go like, to Unicron?
Not Unicron yet, but there is some stuff from the old animated movie that pops up in Void Rivals. So you're like, yeah, man. Year. I don't know what you're doing.
I hope you're taking notes.
I hope you're taking notes. I hope you freaking go. Okay. Look, I read your comic you told me to read, so now you can read these. Okay. Catch up.
All right. I was reading recently. Besides the stuff that comes out weekly, I finally collected Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow in single issues, and I just finished reading.
Dude, we got to do a video for that one together.
Bro, what a fucking book, okay?
Yeah.
Yo,
I haven't read that one.
Yeah.
Have you Longbox? Have you read it?
I have. Now, I don't. So, okay. I don't think it's as good as people like say, but I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Dude, do you want to come back for that one?
Sounds like he does.
I'm always.
We gotta
willing.
have a sequel.
You know, I'm always willing to come back.
Oh, okay. Now I gotta read it.
But yeah.
I'm pretty sure I can finish this one though.
Supergirl One Tomorrow is pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm excited that James Gunn is using it for inspiration for his
universe.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the leaks about Teen Titans?
Yes.
Oh man, dude.
What did they say?
It's because a few months ago there was this leak that like 4 movies that got leaked, but James Gunn, he grabbed Twitter and he was like, 3 of these are a rumor and one of them's true, or like something like that.
Right. And
then Teen Titans was teased a long time ago, but he didn't say specifically, and now it's kind of like, okay, it's actually happening.
Okay.
Thanks, man.
But he hasn't officially said it, but it's coming.
So it's not going to be like Titans. It's going to be the Teen Titans.
I mean, that's what they say.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
You never know, because they could change the team too. They could change the team. I mean, Blue Beetle was a big hit, so he could be part of the team.
Yeah.
And since it's Damian Wayne, that's going to be in the Batman Brave and the Bold.
So you can just make John Justice then, include Blue Beetle and Damian.
Yeah.
Before I forget, so you can put this in the final cut, Rome's. Make sure you check out the Indie Inkwell with Longbox Entertainment and JJ Comic Stuff. They have a weekly podcast with indie comic book creators. Yo, go support that. Check it out. Recently, you had Nerd Tween, and not too long ago, you had Adam from what was his book called? I have his book. I can't remember what it's called. The original one.
I know what you're talking about.
And shout out to Nerd Tooney with his
Goddamn,
Monsters.
we don't read so many comics and like, I'm
bro, you have to be busy because you have to read these people's work before you have them on the podcast so you can interview them, right?
Yes, man. Like me and JJ, we are all like, well, I'm pretty sure JJ too because he's there. But I know, like for me, I'm literally always reading comics. Like it's insane, man.
Yeah, same here.
So even with like the stuff that creators like send us, and we have to read those, and like every now and then we get a creator on that we've read before, actually trying to like interview them, and then like that's when we're like really nerding out, bro. Like you can tell that episodes. But yeah, man, it's interesting. Like we're always reading, man.
Yeah, bro. You guys found an excellent like theme and niche. I don't think there's anybody out there doing what you guys are doing. So props to you
That's
because
a lot of respect
yeah,
because that's a lot of work that you got to do, and
yeah.
not just
Appreciate
that,
that,
but
man.
you're giving a spotlight to people that really like. I'm pretty sure they're clamoring to get that spotlight, like
Yeah,
just to
man,
have someone talk about it and like just I don't that personally. I think as if I was a creator and I had like a chance to be on a podcast, like if no one else is gonna listen, at least these guys are gonna give us a shot.
Bro,
Appreciate
it's
that,
hell of
man.
a platform. It's hell of a platform.
Appreciate that, and I know JJ feels the same, man. Like we put a lot of work into the show. We genuinely love talk about comics, and they also give these wonderful creators that people just aren't talking about because they're indie. Everybody talks about Marvel, DC, and all that
Or
stuff.
people don't know. So
People just
it's
don't know.
impossible to know everything that's coming out. It mostly, especially if you only read like Marvel and DC, like you're not gonna see any ads for indie comics
No,
No,
unless
you're
you're
not.
out there looking for it.
No,
or
you're
you're on
not.
social media.
So
I think that's why your podcast is important too. You're always on there. I always see y'all's clips on social media, and if that interests somebody to get like to pick up a comic,
oh yeah, man. Oh yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
so,
I love it.
I think that's very important too. So that helps get the word out big time.
Now, before we end this episode, I do want to just shout out one other comic that I hope people are reading. Actually, two.
Send it.
And if you're tired of what's been going on with Amazing Spider-Man and Zeb Wells nonsense, Ultimate Spider-Man and Spectacular Spider-Man, pretty good stuff. And I just want to
You know what? If you want to know what's happening in 2024 with any spider related comic, you can pick up Web of Spider-Man #1 that came out this past week. It's literally giving you like a prelude for every single story Spidey related, like
Even Ultimate.
main continuity, like
Okay.
make
All right.
Gwen, Miles, Jessica, Miguel O'Hara, Anya Corazon, um, are all featured in Web of Spider-Man, and it's telling you where the stories for those characters are going to go in 2024. It's literally in the purpose of the book. Like it'll tell you, this is for you to see, what's happening with the Spider characters now in 2024. It was cool. I didn't know because it was not advertised, right? But for Jessica Drew just finished an arc with like in the fallout of Gang War, and now she's gonna move to San Francisco, right? In Web of Spider-Man, you have like a 4-page story that bridges the gang war to her being in San Francisco. And I didn't know it. I picked it up. I was like, oh, what is this? I flicked through the pages and I saw, okay, Spider-Woman story. Oh, Miguel O'Hara. Oh, wait, Miles here. There's like a backup story for what's going on with Spectacular Spider-Man as well.
Mm.
That's cool. That's cool.
Okay.
That way you ain't got to read the Wells run. Get a little clip note. Get a little
So you
clip
can
notes,
know there's better stuff out there. There's options.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? There is okay. That's one thing I do want to stress. If any of our listeners or whoever's watching this, if you take anything from this episode, just know if you're tired of what you're reading, the problem isn't comics in general. You're just reading the wrong stuff for your own palate. Try out different things. Don't be afraid to experiment because you never know what you might like. And that's all I want to say. If I don't know, Amazing Spider-Man, because that's like the big topic.
Prime example.
If that's not doing it for you, there's stuff like Ultimate Spider-Man that's 2 issues in. The third issue
Radiant
comes
Black.
out next week. Radiant Black. That even that can give you that Spider-Man feel without it being the actual character. Yeah, check it out. But yeah, man, I feel like we are in a good spot for comic books.
Yes.
And that's what I'm gonna say. That's Longbox's closing statement. We are in a good place for comic books, at least for 2024. So, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Bars.
That's see, guys. That's what happens when you get a professional podcaster on the actual podcast.
Yeah.
There's a reason why he's the OG. Oh, that was a great send off, man. I don't even know what to say after that.
Appreciate it.
Year, you want to anything else?
No, that's it for this episode. Appreciate you, Longbox, for taking the time and coming on hang out with us, man. Like I said, follow Longbox on all social media platforms and check out the Indie Inkwell podcast on YouTube.
I'll have it down below in the description as well, so that way y'all can click on there.
Appreciate that, brother.
No, we got you, man. We got you. We'll be happy to have you on again if you want to do Supergirl.
Yeah, of course, man.
We'll talk about that in details. But everybody, thanks for watching. If you stayed this long, leave a emoji or something. We appreciate y'all. Deuces.